are now listening to Tough Tiger Talk Flash Report.
All right, shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for joining us for this episode of Tough Tiger Talk. I salute the Tiger Nation. Some news, man, and this happened early in the day. LSU got its coach. LSU wanted Lane Kiffin, and guess what? Ultimately, we got him. Let's go into some of this information that arrived that LSU has hired Lane Kiffin as the coach, and he's coming to Death Valley. This is ESPN. Several other sources are confirming. It's quite the messy breakup too, fam. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Tough Tiger Talk is here covering our beloved LSU Tigers, man. And this is straight from ESPN. Among other outlets, we'll cover 3 articles. LSU's courtship of Lane Kiffin has come to an end as he's leaving Ole Miss to take the job in Baton Rouge and will now coach the Rebels in the college football playoff. He announced both things Sunday afternoon. The culmination of a week-long saga that hung over the sport prompted vicious debate about Kiffin in his unprecedented position of as a head coach leaving the team and not coaching in the CFP. And this is what Lane Kiffin ultimately did.
You've just left your last meeting with the Ole Miss Rebels, and you're getting ready to get on an airplane to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. What is going through your mind right now?
Well, first, I just watched you do something unbelievable and go off-road around the fire trucks to get here, so amazing job by you. You know that this was a very challenging, difficult day. You know, we went through a lot last night with Keith Carter trying to figure out a way, you know, to make this playoff, you know, run work and be able to coach the team. And at the end of the day, that's his decision, and I totally respect that. I understand that decision, and you know, so I just totally wish the team the best of luck. Wish that I was coaching, but understand that it was a very challenging position for him and the chancellor to be in, and totally respect that. So, you know, just really hope they play really well and go win the national championship.
What drew this decision out so long?
Just, it was really difficult. This has been a really special place. 6 years here. I know that there's a lot of feelings and emotions right now around. I hope when they settle down that there's an appreciation about what we were able to do here and having, you know, the best run that's ever been done in the history of the school, and brought some exciting times. So I'm so appreciative to the people of Oxford and the relationships that I developed here. And you know, when I spoke at my dad's funeral, he moved 17 times. And I realized when all the people, I got all the letters, calls, people showed up from around all those different spots, NC State, all the different spots he coached. And they said he was able to impact them and how much that meant to them. And so I've really strived since that day to really try to impact people and help people through life, through my journey. So just prayed a lot and made a family decision and, you know, hopefully get a chance to go, you know, impact a whole new set of people.
I understand you didn't attend the meeting today. Why not?
You know, again, I totally respect Keith's decision.
So that was his decision?
Yeah. He asked me not to come to the meeting and said I couldn't come, but which I totally understand. You know, I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. You know, we're trying to find a way, you know, to make this work and coach the team and give the team the best chance to win. But I also, you know, he's got a job to do, and like he said, he has to live here. So, like he said, maybe all the national people understand why he should let me coach, but he has to live here, and it's a little different when you're the AD. So totally respect that. And Keith has been amazing to us over the 6 years.
Why was LSU the right choice for you?
Yeah, just, you know, there was something in me. This was really hard. My heart was here. But I just, you know, I talked to some mentors, Coach Carroll, Coach Saban, you know, and especially when Coach Carroll said, man, your dad would tell you to go, man, take the shot. You know, take the shot. You've accomplished a lot here. You know, I always hated how we only gave 1 year to Tennessee and left. I really hated that feeling of that, you know, even though it was an exciting year. But, you know, I think that we gave a lot to this program and to the city, and, you know, some of the most historic wins in this stadium that we've ever had, and best regular season in the history of the school. So I feel proud of that part. But it just became time, you know. I talked to God, and He told me it's time to take a new step. It's a new chapter.
Some people will look at this and say, okay, it is the best season in the history of the school, the best era in the history of the program, a playoff team with an opportunity to win a national championship. So what does LSU offer in your mind that Ole Miss doesn't?
I don't know all that. It just was something that I prayed on and made a family decision, and maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. But I think a lot of times, you just go prove things right, and that's what we're going to do when we get there.
Last thing, I know this has been an emotional time for you. What are the specific emotions that you'll be watching your team on television playing in the college football playoff?
I don't know that. There's so many emotions today, and it was so rushed. This isn't a normal job, and so I'm not complaining about the job. This is a very abnormal job that you don't get a chance to just go places, look around, make decisions, maybe start in 4 months or something when you relocate. So this is one of those strange jobs that you got to get on a plane and go. So I hate that part of it, and but it is what it is.
One last thing that I meant to ask a moment ago. What role did your desire to bring some offensive staff with you or some staff members with you play in the decision taking a moment?
In decision of what?
In the decision to be finalized.
Oh. Yeah, there was no, I guess there's a narrative, because I had to talk to the players about that someone pumped a narrative in them that there was an ultimatum to coaches or something like that they had to go. There was nothing. Every coach has their own decision to make, and I would never give them ultimatums like that. And so, those are all their own individual decisions.
Thank you so much for your time.
So there you go. And Kiffin told ESPN that he never gave ultimatums. The Ole Miss coaching staff will be formally introduced as LSU's coach on tomorrow. 2 planes flew from Baton Rouge and landed at the University of Oxford Airport at 4 p.m. For more than an hour, several of Kiffin's family members and staff were escorted to the jets and SUVs. Among them were his ex-wife, Layla, son of Knox, and his brother, Chris, the Rebels linebackers coach. There were about 250 people lined up along the fence, and police prevented vehicles from entering the airport. It's almost like the man, the damn president or something. The last person to board the plane was Kiffin, who was escorted down the runway to Mississippi Highway Patrol Cruiser. He was embraced by LSU Athletic Director Verge Alsbury, who was wearing a purple shirt before climbing the stairs and taking off. It just was something I prayed on and made a family decision. Kiffin told ESPN about switching schools. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but I think a lot of times you just go prove things right, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to get there to LSU. So there it is. And of course, we know Kiffin this was kind of drawn out, man, of what we had to do. So Ole Miss has to, of course, shift quickly. Now that it is over with and Kiffin is headed to LSU, the part about it, he's not going to be allowed to coach Ole Miss. They basically say, okay, if you don't take the job and stay here, then we'll find somebody else. They'll do it. You can't coach this team, blah, blah, blah. Now, I think it shouldn't have been as petty as that. They could have allowed Lane Kiffin to kind of coach the team. It's a bit of sour grapes from Ole Miss. They're kind of upset about how this played out. But in the end, I kind of felt, hey, man, you could have did it. But this does buy Lane Kiffin a lot of time to kind of focus on recruiting people and bringing his staff and getting his staff together for LSU and getting lined up for the recruiting situation. There are already various recruits that are decommitting to Ole Miss, and one in particular, one of the best recruit defensive linemen in the country, has decommitted to where he was going and is committed to LSU. So there is a Lane Kiffin effect. Now, I might not agree what's going on with us picking up Lane Kiffin, but at the end of the day, I most certainly can respect the fact that LSU wants to win, and Lane Kiffin is definitely one of the best minds out there, right? Definitely, I definitely got to give you that. All right. So anyway, let's keep it moving and grooving into it and give you a little bit more about this report. Kiffin looking to retain key LSU assistant. And this is what is drawn out here by Parker Gilliam from Saturday Down South. Hiring of Kiffin away from Ole Miss was official. After various report statements or rumors were thrown around throughout Sunday, Kiffin publicly stated that he is accepting the position and has already moved on to focus on the next role. Among initial responsibilities Kiffin will have is determining who will maintain the Tigers staff and what name stands out amongst the rest in the category. According to reports by footballscoop.com, defensive coordinator Blake Baker is at the top of Kiffin's list to retain and will be a focal point of early efforts. Now that is something else. Blake Baker and Lane Kiffin, Blake Baker's defense, Lane Kiffin's offense. Hired prior to 2024 campaign, Baker spearheads LSU's efforts and having the 16th ranked scoring defense in the nation this past season, despite receiving little help from a struggling offense. Prior to his time in Baton Rouge, Baker held the coordinated positions at Louisiana Tech, Miami, and Missouri. The main contention to Baker remaining in Baton Rouge appears to be the recently opened Tulane head coach job. A Texas native who is a Green Wave alum, Baker may want to take his first step at being a head coach with his alma mater. John Summerall left the program to take over for Florida. So a lot of movement in the college football world continues to go forward, and LSU seems to land the biggest fish in the pond college football wise. So, and this is where Lane Kiffin has already started assembling his staff, and this is what we know by far. This is coming from NOLA.com. Tom-Picayune, LSU coach, appears to be bringing at least 5 Ole Miss coaches and staff members with him to Baton Rouge, including offensive coordinator. A video captured and posted to social media Sunday showed that Ole Miss offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr. boarded one of the planes that LSU went to Oxford, Mississippi to pick up Kiffin, members of his family, and certain Ole Miss personnel. According to 24/7 Sports, Kiffin is also expected to bring general manager Billy Glasscock, senior association athletic director for football operation Thaddeus Rivers, wide receiver coach George McDonald, and head strength and conditioning coach Nick Savage. Kiffin hired Glasscock in 2024 to replace current LSU general manager Austin Thomas. Right. It is unclear whether Kiffin hiring means for Thomas' future at LSU. Thomas spent on Kiffin's staff at Tennessee, Southern Cal, and Ole Miss before he left to take the current job at LSU. Now, LSU is expected, strongly considering, we talked about them retaining Blake Baker and other defensive coaches amid the transitions. Several Ole Miss defensive staff members are not following Kiffin. Defensive coordinator Pete Golding, who is going to be the permanent coach, I think they named him the permanent coach, not an interim coach, was promoted to head coach at Kiffin's departure. And according to 24/7 Sports, the Rebels are expected to keep co-defensive coordinator Brian Brown, defensive line coach Randall Joyner, and safety coach Wes Neighbors, right? This is going to be interesting. Kiffin was he was the primary target of LSU's coaching search, which began, after firing Brian Kelly back on October the 26th. Kiffin's coach Ole Miss for the last 6 years. He's now leaving the Rebels behind ahead of the college football playoff, which they're essentially guaranteed to participate in for the first time in program history because they beat Mississippi State on Friday in the Egg Bowl to improve to 11-1. Ole Miss has never won 11 regular season games until this season. Golden now will lead the Rebels into the college football playoff while Kiffin works to build his staff at LSU. High school recruits will begin signing with schools on Wednesday, and the transfer portal will open on January the 2nd. So this is a blessing in disguise insofar of what's going on with Lane Kiffin. Lane's out at Ole Miss. They say, hey, we don't want you coaching. That's fine. Now he can focus on his recruiting, getting his coaching staff together, and moving this thing forward relatively quick. LSU will have a bowl game, a regular season bowl game that, our interim coach Frank will coach in. But at the end of the day, with Lane Kiffin coming, and I think retaining Blake Baker is a plus with his defense. So Lane's offense, Blake Baker's defense, not to mention there are rumors that Chambliss and a few players might transfer. Some of his guys from Ole Miss might transfer. And I know the athletic director and some of the people up there are going to try to stop that. But rumors are that some of these Ole Miss players that are close to Lane Kiffin are going to follow him to Death Valley. Right. A lot of recruits are already looking to Death Valley. So there is a positive in the Lane Kiffin effect as he comes to LSU. And ultimately what it does serve, family, is that, boy, when we play Ole Miss, it's just elevated it up some more. You get what I'm talking about? But anyway, fam, listen, man, we got a new coach here, and LSU wanted, went after who they wanted. They wanted Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is now the coach of LSU football, and he is here, and that is what it is. So anyway, with that being said, that's what I got for y'all in this brief report. I'll be back later on in the week. There'll be a press conference coming up soon with Lane Kiffin. We'll also cover the Lane Kiffin effect, meaning the transfers and the words on that. We'll fastly learn about potential coaches that'll be a part of his staff that's currently on the team. Coach Frank is rumored to be one of those men. We will see how it all goes and who Lane Kiffin likes at the end of the day. So with that being said, I'm going to get ready to get out on that. I appreciate each and every last one of y'all for joining on this episode of Tough Tiger Talk. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and by all means, feel free to share the show on your social media feed. I'm Big Q, and I'm holler at you on the next one. Much love, peace, and go Tiger.